Hi everyone, welcome to Northern Zen Yoga. My name is Sandra, and today we are going to be looking at some of the warrior postures. Now, one of the most mistaught pose in the warrior series is Warrior One. Now, Warrior One quite often is misunderstood as to the foot position. So today we're going to look at an easy way for you to be able to figure out where do my feet go in Warrior One. Because the foot position in Warrior One is quite different than in the foot position in Warrior Two or even in Warrior Three. So I've got my mat here and I'm going to show you what you need to do in order to get yourself in a position where you can really understand where the feet go. So I'm just going to tip up my mat here, and I hope we can see this on the video. Yes, we can. I have drawn with chalk, and you could do this yourself at home, or you could use something a little more permanent if you wanted to, depending on the color of your mat, so that you will always remember where the middle line is, or at least approximately the middle line here. I didn't get a ruler and I didn't measure this completely. I just got some chalk and a straight line board and I drew a line down the middle. So I'm going to position this mat in such a way that you can start to see the line. I'm going to hopefully be able to move the camera a little bit closer so that I can show you the foot position before we get into what the rest of the body is doing. So right back, and I'm going to reposition the camera, and we'll see you then. Bye. So to begin with, in Warrior One, and I'm mostly focusing on my feet, so you're going to hear my voice, but you're not going to see me. We begin at the top of our mat. So standing in mountain pose where feet are comfortably apart, usually about hip width apart, standing nice and strong. And we're going to begin in this case by moving our left foot back and leaving the right foot at the top of the mat. So I'm just going to take a big step back. Now I want you to see where my foot is in relationship to each other. I've got one foot on one side of the magic line down the middle. The other foot is on the other side of the magic line down the middle. Now, for me, I can go back pretty far to get into the lunging position. This is basically a lunge, but notice where my heel is. My heel is firmly planted down onto the mat, and this is an important factor to remember. Don't go back further than you can push your heel down into the floor. So your first warrior might look like this. When you're first starting yoga and you're doing your Warrior One, you might have your feet in a position that looks like this. The front knee is in a bend position. One thing we're going to look for is if we glance down toward our toes, we can see them without having to lean over. We should be able to stand upright, look down, and see our toes down here. This is very important because we need to have the knee and the ankle in alignment with each other. So if you're going to err anyway at all, you could always err on the side of having the ankle slightly in front of the knee as opposed to behind, because what I don't want you to do is this. This puts so much pressure on your knee joint, and if you're already working with bad knees, this is death and destruction here. You're going to injure your knee, you're going to damage the cartilage that's in here, and you're going to have all kinds of problems with your knee joint. And me just doing this, I can feel my knee going in toward pain. So that is the first most important thing. Foot position in the front. I'll go over it again. You should be able to stand straight up, look down, and see your toes. If you can see your toes, you're probably in the perfect position. How much of your toes you see? Well, the more toes you see, the more of your flat of your foot you see, the better. The back leg is on the opposite side. So here you can see, if I had my feet lined up together, it would look like this. Instead, I'm putting it over on this side, and my foot, the angle of my foot now is up to you, wherever you feel the most comfortable here. But the more lined up your heel is, the better the hip position is going to become. And what we're going for next is hips that can comfortably face forward toward the front of your mat. So, foot is in line here. Back foot is on the other side of the imaginary line down the middle of your mat, or your permanent chalk line or marker line. And our hips can face forward comfortably. The problem that has happened in the past, and I'm going to scoot down here and talk to you. The problem that's happened in the past is this. People were teaching line up your heels in Warrior One. And this was creating a torquing in the back of the pelvis in the L5 vertebrae. Because in order to get your hips to come forward when your leg is thrust back behind you, you have to really torque that part of your spine, and that part of your spine is not designed to do that. So what happened was yoga instructors were coming to chiropractors with L5 vertebrae damage, and they were trying to figure out, for a person that was spending so much time working on the flexibility of their spine, why was this part of their spine being injured? So they started to analyze some of the postures that we have been doing and we have been taught to do, and I was teaching to do until I got this information, which is quite current. So a lot of instructors who haven't been keeping up on their training, because this has just been starting to be promoted by the Chiropractic Society and by the well-renowned yoga instructors through the Yoga Alliance for probably the last, I would say, 5 years, that doing that particular pose in that way that we used to teach it is going to injure your body. Absolutely. Over time, if not sooner, it's going to be later. So we're changing that up. And if you hear any instructor tell you to do something different than what I am showing you today, ignore them, because they're not properly trained. They're going by the old way, and this is the newer, safer way. And especially for us, because we already have bodies that have been through the ringer. We have bodies that have been damaged quite a bit by life itself and wear and tear. So the last thing you want to do is start to damage your low back, because the low back, I mean, once you cause pain in the end, or herniated disc or something down there, you're going to be in pain all the time. And we don't want that. It's not about being in pain. It's about feeling good, right? So now I'm going to spread the camera back a little bit so that you can see more of me. And we're going to go through the rest of the Yoga Warrior One posture that you should be striving for. So we've got the feet down. If you're not sure about that, back up the tape, look at it again, practice this for a second on your mat, and then get ready for me to show you the rest of Warrior One and what that can look like. And I'm going to show you one variation that you can do for Warrior One. Okay, I'll be right back. So we're back, and I'm standing up now, and you can see all of me. So we're going to work on what Warrior One will look like. And there's going to be some modifications here for you if you have a little bit of problem with lifting up the arms. So stay tuned. All right, standing again. We're at the top of our mat. Feet are comfortably apart. I'm going to take the left leg. I'm going to begin with the left leg back. I'm going to step it back, watching that I don't cross over my imaginary line or my marked line on my mat, so that my feet are on the two separate zones. As far as how close they are to each other, this depends on your hip width. So you must feel comfortable here. So the front knee is bent, I'm looking down, I can see my toes down here. I know my knee is pretty much in the right place it's supposed to be with my ankle. I can feel comfortable. I have my hips facing forward. There's no tweaking or twisting or pinching happening here because I'm a little bit too close to that middle line and I'm forcing my hips. So that's the other thing the middle line is for. If I was really close to the middle line and I pulled my hips forward, I can feel right now, this second, I can feel that vertebrae I was talking about starting to torque. So I'm going to move this foot out as far as I need to take that sensation away. It's gone away now. All I'm feeling now is just the stretching of the front of this leg as it's working its way back and pushing my heel into the floor. So that's the feeling you want. You want to feel something here, and you want to feel a little bit of stress around this area as your core muscles are working to keep your body upright. So we're feeling it here, we're feeling it here, and we might be feeling it here too, because we're having to support the weight of the body in the front. You're also going to be feeling your calf start to want to bunch. That's because of the pressure going down to your heel. So if that starts to get too distracting, just lift your heel up and then place it back down again. This is a very intense stretch for the calf muscle, which is a good thing. So we're in position. Making sure we are feeling no pain in our back, we're feeling no twisting or pulling back here around the spine. We have a good position of feeling balanced. That's the next thing. The closer you get your feet toward each other on that center line, the less solid you're going to feel. So that's the other thing too you're going for. You're going for a nice solid stance. Yes, I can feel my muscles in my back leg talking to me. That's okay. There's no pain there. It's just that tightening feeling of the muscle contracting and working hard to keep me stable. I'm going to stand nice and upright, shoulders up, chin up. I'm going to inhale and bring my arms up toward the ceiling. So ideally, we're reaching for the ceiling and pushing our feet down into the mat. Feeling all of the stretching going through the body to make that happen. Now, some of you, I'm just relaxing myself for a second because I'm starting to feel my calf muscle complaining a little bit too much, so I'm just going to give it a break for a second. Now, remember one important thing. Most of the postures of yoga are fairly comfortable if you manipulate your body around a little bit, tweak it here and there, till you feel, yes, I can feel muscles stretching, I can feel muscles pulling, but I'm not feeling pain, and I'm not feeling anything that is going to make me feel unstable. I'm not feeling like I'm going to fall over. The wider you separate your legs here, so you can actually go from one side to the other. You can have one foot very close to this side of the mat, and the other foot very close to that side of the mat. So, find your comfort zone though. I'm just going to come in just a little bit closer because my hips are not that wide. Some of us have a little bit wider hips, and so we need a wider stance. Now if you can't lift your arms up and reach for the ceiling and stretch through the body, trying to reach, trying to touch your ceiling, at the same time pushing into the mat, making sure you're still stable. If arms up here is not working for you, then you can bring your arms to your shoulder and start to lift your elbows up. Try to lift the elbows up, and if it's here, or you can come into a goddess position, like this. So you're still reaching though. You're still trying to get your body to start to stretch up toward the ceiling. And that's the important thing in Warrior One. In Warrior One, there is a separation in the middle of your body happening. You're pushing down into your feet and you're pulling up, reaching with your hands. So that's where the big stretch comes in. And I'm noticing something I'm doing here because I'm too relaxed. And that is my knee is starting to cave in toward the middle of the mat. So we have to make sure when we're in this stance that we don't let our knee cave over, that we purposely start pushing the knee toward our baby toe. So pushing the knee toward the baby toe, back heel is pressed down, feet are firmly planted on the mat. We inhale up, reach for the ceiling, push into that back heel, push into your big toe in the front, breathe. Now we're going to drop our hands, bringing them behind us, and we're going to come into a position from Warrior One called Humble Warrior. And you could try this. If you think you're going to fall, stop. And then we're going to start to tip forward. So we really haven't changed where our hands are. We're just changing where our chest is. And we're going to bring our chest down toward our thigh. And then, once we've gotten to this point, we're going to start to lift the arms up behind us, coming into Humble Warrior. Inhale, push into your front foot, keep the knee bent, pull in your back hands to try to bring you back upright, and relax your arms. Step one foot forward, standing in mountain pose for a moment, and then you can switch to the other side. So let's do the other side. Standing nice and strong. This time we're stepping the right foot back. Inhale as you step back, find your foot position. Now, depending on where you are in your home doing your yoga, I've got a cushy mat on a cushy carpet. So finding your foot position, finding your stability is critically important in this case. If you have your mat on a hardwood floor, it's a lot easier to find the ground. Back leg, stretch back as far as comfortable for me that I can push my heel down into the floor. Front knee is bent, I'm standing up straight. Just going to have a look there. Yes, I can see my toes. And I'm going, my hips are forward. I'm comfortable. I don't feel any pulling or twitching or torquing in the back of my spine. I'm going to inhale, my arms up. Reach for the ceiling, push into my back heel. Inhale again. Exhale. Bring your hands behind you. Reach. Grab your hands if you can, bring your chest down. Start to bring your arms up once you got your chest down toward your thigh. Humble Warrior. So, I'm doing this, I'm new at it, and I feel like I'm going to hit the floor if I bend over. That's where you can bring your block in. So, just keep your block here while you're doing your first part of the Warrior One. And as you come down, just keep one hand behind your back, bring the other hand down. Help guide yourself down a little further as far as you're able to go today. And when you start, you might only be here or even here. So once you've hit where you can go, as far as you could tip forward without feeling too much pulling anywhere else happening, then that's when you start to try to raise your arms up just a little bit more, just to get that shoulder stretch. But you can always come down, put your hand on the block, find your balance, and then see if you can continue. The same thing coming up. You can use the block to help push you up. You can even take your hand and press it into your thigh to help bring you up. Lots of things you can do. I want you to realize that all of the yoga postures are here just to give you some muscle stretching, some movement, and the most important thing is balance. Balance, especially as we get older. Oh my gosh, do you know how many women that anywhere from the age 60 to and beyond fall down and break a hip because for no other reason they get up in the middle of the night and they go to the bathroom and their balance is completely off. because of the fact that they can't see in the dark. Our eyes are really important for our balance, but not everything for our balance. So when you get up in the nighttime, it's really important to have a good sense of balance before you even start to head for the bathroom. If you go to the point where you have fallen and broken a hip, sometimes for some of us that's game over. We're never the same again, and a lot of women, they die very shortly after breaking their hip. Now that's not everybody, but the odds are against us. So keeping our balance at our age is so critically important. And the warrior posture we just went through, as uncomplicated in a way as it might seem in the scheme of yoga postures that you could do that are difficult, this helps to create balance. Standing in a stable position, reaching up, all of that requires you to work on keeping the core and keeping your muscles working at the balancing part. Because if you have bad balance, you're going to know this even when you start Warrior One. You're going to see you're not going to feel stable. You're going to feel like you're going to fall over, especially when you try to do the humble warrior part of this practice. So if you're feeling like that, if you're feeling really unstable, you can always have a chair. You can always have some blocks at your disposal to grab. You can be next to a wall so you can put your hand out for support to the wall, but work on it. Trust me, it's worth it. I know. I've been there and I've come back. And if this old lady can do it, you ladies can do it. And gentlemen, sorry, I don't want to be leaving the guys out because I know there's a few of you out there that watch. So, Warrior One, I hope you enjoyed this. Please practice. And next week, I'll be bringing Warrior Two out to show you how to get into that position. And until then, have a great week. See you in the live classes. 2 this week coming up. Now we will have live classes on Tuesday at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time and Friday at 1:30 p.m. in the afternoon, after lunch, Eastern Standard Time as well. So that allows the people on the West Coast to have their 10:30 in the morning class with us live. Hope you join me. Bye for now. Namaste.